I'm going to start by taking us 170 years back in time, but I promise we'll end by going 20 years ahead of where we are today. So it's 1854. London is experiencing a huge outbreak of cholera. Its epicenter is in a neighborhood called Broad Street. So at the time, in the first 3 days, 127 people died in that neighborhood. Shortly thereafter, 500 people died in 1 day. So at the time, the prevailing medical thought among the medical leaders was that cholera was caused by bad air. Now, enter a young upstart physician by the name of John Snow. John actually lived in the Broad Street neighborhood. John didn't think it was bad air. John thought it was polluted drinking water in the Broad Street well. So he set out to prove his theory. This is actually his map with a few things I laid over it. So the first thing he did is he started by plotting the location of where each victim lived that died of cholera. He then took the map and placed the location of all of the pumps where everyone went to get their water. And what you can quickly see with this is the Broad Street pump was at the center of most deaths. So he took his data, he took his theory, he went to the London Medical Society, which was driving the management of cholera, and he presented it. And the response was, he was laughed at. They scoffed. Who is this young upstart physician to be telling them that it was something different other than bad air? So his detractors basically pointed out that there were victims that lived closer to other pumps, and therefore the Broad Street theory just wasn't working. Enter the Reverend Henry Whitehead. This was the head of a church where he knew the comings and goings of the people in the neighborhood. So Dr. Snow and Henry collaborated, and what he learned is that the majority of people inside that circle who had children, they all went to the school on Broad Street. So how many of you have kids living at home, and like as you're taking them to and from school, what do? You gang your errands. You get efficient in how you run your life. People of this time were doing the same thing. So as they took their kids to and from school, they would get their water from the Broad Street pump. So armed with this information, armed with the work John Snow had done, they eventually removed the handle on the pump, and guess what? The outbreak subsided. So to me, this is a great story at several levels. One, it's a great story of early epidemiology, a data-driven discipline. Two, it's a great example of an early data estate, which we've already been talking about when it comes to gathering data, great visualizations. The Reverend Whitehead contributed a great example of social determinants of health being factored into a health issue. So all of those are great, but frankly, we would not be telling this story today if not for a critical factor, and that is when it comes to innovation, those who are true innovators are willing and able to think differently. So when I look at the story of John Snow and I think about today and where we stand, healthcare is a very noble cause. It has many, many challenges, and I believe that we cannot and will not solve those challenges by using the same way of thinking and acting today. So this is where AI comes in. We're all early in the journey. But the introduction of AI to help us find different solutions to the problems we have is at the heart of why we're here and why we should be discussing it.